Let us start this video by saying that this is one of the most awe-inspiring places we have ever been, not just in Argentina, but out of all of the countries and continents we have traveled to, filled with landscapes that wouldn't look out of place in a science fiction movie, and connected by some of the most scenic roads we've ever driven on. The provinces of Salta and Jujuy in the north of Argentina are a road tripper's dream. So if that sounds right up your street, stick around as we show you the highlights of these incredible and often overlooked provinces on our week-long road trip around the region.
If you're new here, we're Kitty and John, and we love to travel and experience new cultures. Whether we're hiking in the high Andes in Peru or relaxing on the pristine beaches of Mexico, our passion for travel never seems to fade. Recently, we've been spending much of our time in South America and have really fallen in love with the continent. So make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more content from this beautiful part of the world. Your best place for exploring this part of Argentina is the city of Salta, located in the northwest corner of the country. Nestled between forested hills, it's a pretty city that we didn't really have time to explore outside of its main plaza. It follows the theme of most South American main squares in being surrounded by important buildings and enticing cafes. The real draw of the Salta and Jujuy provinces, though, are of the natural variety, and to see these stunning landscapes that surround the city, you're going to need your own vehicle. We found renting a car in Salta very affordable and easy, especially if you're traveling in a group. 90% of the roads we've driven were in really good condition, so you don't actually need to hire a 4x4. After picking up our car, we headed north from Salta towards the province of Jujuy. As we drove, we began to gain altitude and the landscapes began to drastically change, from the very wet and green area surrounding the city to the towering mountains and deep valleys of the high Andes, complete with their uniquely colored rock formations. After around 4 hours of driving, we arrived in the small town of Purmamarca, which would serve as our base for the next couple of days.
What's up guys, John from the future here to tell you a little bit about our new favorite travel essential. If you travel a lot, you know how important a good piece of luggage is to the overall travel experience. Level 8's range of stylish yet practical suitcases fit the bill perfectly. There's a wide range of beautiful colors, designs, and dimensions to choose from. We personally love our bright yellow and black Voyager checked bag and our olive green luminous carry-on. Both bags are made from polycarbonate material, meaning they're super lightweight and durable and have a textured finish that makes them even more resilient to scratches. We also love the TSA approved locks for extra security and anti-shock wheels that make the most annoying part of traveling just that little bit more comfortable. We found there's plenty of space on the inside too, especially in the Voyager suitcase thanks to its well-designed handle. Each bag has multiple compartments to help organize packing, and the Voyager has a wet and dry pocket for when you want to get that last-minute beach time in. Right now you can get 10% off any of Level 8 suitcases by clicking through the link in the description and using our code KittyandJohn10. Okay, back to the video. Purmamarca is 100% a tourist town, with its main square and adjacent streets absolutely packed with vendors selling all sorts of souvenirs. The style of these souvenirs was very reminiscent of what we'd gotten accustomed to seeing in countries like Peru and Ecuador though, so that, along with its dusty streets and street art, it felt vastly different to the Argentina we'd experienced up until this point. The town is situated at the base of a valley and is towered over by strikingly colorful rock formations, the highlight of which is the Hill of Seven Colors. You can get great views of this hill from the road that passes the town and from the viewpoint at the center of town, but the absolute best way to experience the colors is to hike around it. So from Purmamarca, you can do this walk around the colored mountain.
7 colored mountain of the 14.
This is probably the most prominent area where you can really see the contrasting colors.
It's really beautiful.
It's so beautiful, like so many different shades of reds and greens, oranges. So cool. We just keep going to these places on this trip that are like another planet. As we made our way around the Paseo de los Colorados, we were left speechless by just how vibrant these colors were. This wasn't just like a hint of red here or a touch of green there, but deep reds and greens that encompassed entire mountains. The shapes they created were also fluid and beautiful. It almost looked like lava had spewed up from the ground and solidified in its natural color. landscape is just really insane. It's sort of like a combination of Cappadocia a little bit in Turkey. I wouldn't quite say it was exactly like that, but it's also a little bit like the Tatacoa Desert in Colombia. Kind of like that, but on a much grander scale. The colors, again, are very similar to there, you know, with the reds and the grays and the greens, probably formed in a very similar way.
After exploring Purmamarca in the morning, we hopped in the car and began the long drive up the Lipan Valley. This road winds its way up to over 4,000 meters, initially passing through the Crazy Rock Formation at the base of the valley before rising almost 2,000 meters to the high Altiplano.
This has hands down got to be one of the craziest roads we've ever driven on.
I know, it's insane, isn't it?
Look at this landscape winding all the way along. Unbelievable road.
Once we reached the highest point, we began to descend down on the other side into yet another different landscape, the Salinas Grandes, the third largest salt flat in the world. After arriving, we paid a modest entry fee for the opportunity to drive our own vehicle out onto the salt flat. We're doing it.
How cool is this?
It's crazy.
Driving
Driving
our own vehicle on the salt flats.
I know,
So cool.
Beautiful.
So nice. You'll be escorted by a local guide to a specific spot where they harvest the salt. After a brief explanation of this process, we were free to take pictures and videos for about 30 minutes. As we're sure you've seen, this landscape is perfect for creating some unique photos and videos, and so we were all too happy to create some of our own. We had a lot of fun out on the salt flats, and when it was eventually time to leave, we reluctantly followed our guide back to the entrance and made our way back down the Lipan Valley to Purmamarca.
The next day, we headed north of Purmamarca to the town of Humahuaca, where we left the tarmac behind and climbed up another hair-raising pass towards the 14-colored mountain. This was definitely the trickiest road we had to drive on during this trip, with about 25 kilometers of loose gravel and sharp hairpin turns giving little to the imagination. However, it's still more than possible without 4x4, and the payoff at the top made it all worthwhile. How blooming beautiful this place is.
Unbelievable.
It's like unreal.
I feel like we're back in Peru.
I know. I mean, the road to get here was a bit of... We understand why this province called Jujuy, because I definitely said a few times Jujuy on that dirt road to get here, but it was worth the effort.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable view.
You can actually hike down from the car park for a closer look at the mountains, but be prepared for a very steep hike back up again. Not easy when you're over 4,000 meters above sea level. To make yourself feel better, grab a deliciously fresh cheese and tomato tortilla from one of the many vendors selling them at the top, and sit back and enjoy the view.
Left Jujuy today and we've driven back down to Salta and a little bit south of Salta. So for the rest of the video, we're going to be exploring the Salta Province in Argentina. We've arrived at our first accommodation here, which is really cool, really unique, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but that's one of the nice things about having a car. Really kind of modern kind of design, looks a bit like a cave or a castle. Nice little terrace area, place to sit. Of course, we're in Argentina, so there's a place to have your asado, and just check out these views. You get really spectacular. Today we're driving over to the town of Cacti, and to get there we have to drive through the Parque de los Cardones, which is basically the Cactus National Park here in Argentina. And as you can see, we're already surrounded by a lot of cacti. It's a really, really beautiful road, this Ruta Provincial 33. Way prettier than I thought it was going to be. We just seem to keep getting these amazing roads to drive here in Argentina. There's no shortage of them. Yeah, just really enjoying the ride up to the national park. It's going to start to get very curvy, I think. It did indeed get very curvy. From the lush green cloud forested environment lower down, we ascended into an absolutely stunning valley of reds and greens with seas of cacti lining the slopes on both sides. It always amazes us how quickly the landscape changes as you gain altitude and the wildlife along with it. We saw tarantulas crossing the road, llamas grazing by the side of it, and curious foxes on our ascent. Eventually, the cactus fields and bright colors gave way to the barren and bare plains of the high Andes, and the tarmac once again gave way to compacted dirt, although this road was in much better condition and much wider than the road we'd taken up to the Rainbow Mountain in Jujuy. There were a number of viewpoints we could stop at on the way up to look back down at the winding road below, and once we reached the top of the pass, we officially entered the Parque Nacional Los Cardones.
Initially, we were a little bit confused by the park's name, as we could not see a single cactus anywhere. We passed a small chapel at the highest point on the road, and then drove through the high plains, spotting guanacos all around us until we descended through a winding canyon and emerged into the largest field of cacti we had ever seen. This place is truly incredible and very, very empty. Really not a lot of people here at all, surpassing all my expectations for this morning. When we were coming up this way, I really didn't think the drive up was going to be that pretty. Didn't really know what to expect of the national park itself, but it's gorgeous and it's just like fields of cacti. I don't know if you can see them in the camera, but all behind me, along with the usual Argentinian straight roads and these beautiful rock colors over here as well behind them. Just a stunning place. So little visited compared to other parts of Argentina, I think, especially by foreign tourists at least. Most of the tourists we're seeing are Argentinians themselves. 100% recommend coming down here. It's just breathtaking. There's so many cacti. I've never seen so many cacti in one place in my entire life. It's incredible. Like, as far as you can see in the distance. Crazy. There are several small little stops along the straight route through the park where you can get a nice overview of the area or get up close to the cacti themselves. After this, the road begins to descend to the nearby town of Cacti. Cacti is a beautiful little town surrounded by snow-capped mountains with cobblestone streets lined with colonial-style architecture. It's a popular stop along Route 40 and served as a good base for us for the night before continuing our road trip the next morning. At this point, the logical thing to do would have been to continue down Route 40 to Cafayate and then return via Route 68 back up to Salta. However, that section of Route 40 is all gravel, and we were told by our car hire agency that we weren't allowed to take our car down there. We do think our car would have been absolutely fine to drive down that section of Route 40, given some of the roads we'd already taken it up. But we decided to do the sensible thing and drive back across Route 33 the next morning, and then make our way down Route 68 to Cafayate. Argentina is the gift that keeps on giving, especially in this Salta area. We're on our way down to Cafayate today, which is the furthest south we'll be going. We're driving down this beautiful road from Salta, which goes through this gorgeous quebrada, just filled with these crazy red-hued rocks, just jutting out of the ground. Really reminds me of like the southwest of America kind of style. Just really beautiful. This roughly 70-kilometer section of road passes through the Quebrada de las Conchas, and we're not exaggerating when we say that this was one of the most beautiful drives through some of the most stunning and striking scenery that we have ever seen. As we descended deeper into the canyon, the formations became more and more alien until we arrived at our first stop, the Garganta del Diablo. This incredible fissure in the side of the mountain makes you feel very small once you're inside and acts as a sort of optical illusion due to the angle of the walls compared to the floor. Only 500 meters down the road is another similar attraction called El Amphitheatro, or the amphitheater. This thin fissure reminded us of Antelope Canyon in Arizona, with the way the light played off the curved rocks. Then we stopped at the Tres Cruces Mirador, which provided a stunning overview of the valley in front of us.
Really starting to run out of superlatives to describe this place. I don't think I've ever been anywhere like this. Everything is just so grand, so colorful. It really is an incredible place.
I have one problem with this route though. That is way too beautiful. I don't know where to look.
No, you're taking pictures one way and then suddenly you want to take pictures another way.
I need eyes all around my head.
Really not talked about enough by foreign tourists from sort of outside of South America. Maybe our new favorite place in Argentina?
Probably.
I would say so. The route continues to get more and more stunning and surreal, passing a giant rock that looks an awful lot like a toad before entering a series of jutted and jagged rock formations that we can only compare to our experiences in the American Southwest. It was hard to tear ourselves away from this insane landscape, but eventually we left the Quebrada behind and made our way into the city of Cafayate. It's mostly known for producing some great high-altitude wines and is surrounded by vineyards and bodegas. We had a quick wander around the town, but didn't have time to visit any of the bodegas, unfortunately. The next morning, we headed back up through the Quebrada de las Conchas to Salta to end what had been a truly epic road trip. As foreign tourists, provinces of Salta and Jujuy really hadn't been on our radar at all until we started to do research into the country. Even then, blog posts and information about these locations is pretty sparse when compared with the abundance of information you can find on Argentine Patagonia, for example. But in a country of beautiful natural attractions, these provinces really shine through as something quite special, and we really fell in love with just how unique and varied the landscapes were. So we wholeheartedly encourage you not to skip these lesser known destinations in Argentina if you ever visit the country. Trust us, you won't regret it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more content from Argentina and the rest of South America. We also have a travel blog where we go into way more detail about a lot of the locations that we visit in our videos. So if you watched any of our content and would like a little bit more information about a place, make sure to go and check that out following the link in the description. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you back here on our next adventure.